Good evening. Do I switch it? Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sally Kimondo. I am the town mayor of Dunstable. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to the 41st annual Dunstable Town meeting. The law requires a meeting of all electors of the parish of Dunstable to be held between 1st March and 1st June to give the opportunity for any electors of the parish of Dunstable to ask questions. The meeting may discuss any town affairs, and it's not confined to the functions of the town council, although we may not be able to answer questions in respect of other authorities. Can I remind everyone to be respectful and civil in the way they ask questions and answered? Abusive behavior will not be accepted from anyone. This year, our theme is voluntary. We are going to begin the evening with a briefing from Dunstable Town Council about how the Town Council collaborates with voluntary organizations and the benefits they offer to the community. We'll then hear from Community Voluntary Service and Dunstable in Bloom about the organizations. We'll then have an opportunity to ask questions of the presenters and also to raise any issues relating to the town. This meeting is being filmed by the council and broadcast live over YouTube and will be capable of repeated viewing. If you are seated, it is likely that the cameras will capture your image. By your presence, you are deemed to consent to be filmed and the use of those images and sounds recording of webcasting or training purposes. May I next introduce you to the Deputy Town Mayor. You can introduce yourself.
Councillor Richard Atwell.
And our Town Clerk, Chief Executive.
Hi, I'm Paul Hudson.
So our second agenda of today is to approve the minutes of 2025 town meeting, a copy of which has been reproduced with the agenda. Is someone willing to move that I sign this as a true and correct record of the proceedings? Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that seconded?
Yeah,
Thank you. Those in favor? That is carried. Second.
Those against?
Those against? Sorry. I didn't see. Let's see here. So the next agenda is a briefing from Dunstable Town Council. The agenda is a briefing from Jill Peck, the Town Council Youth and Community Manager, who will talk about opportunities to volunteer with the Town Council. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jill Peck and I'm the Youth and Community Manager at the Town Council. And it's my pleasure to be here this evening to talk to you about different volunteering opportunities that we have within the Town Council. So to start, I'd like to tell you a little bit about some of the voluntary stuff that people have done within the Town Council and to support some of our initiatives. So for the grounds and environmental services, over 30 volunteer gardeners and deadheaders have been working an estimated total of 1,400 hours per year in the town centre. The council and Dunstable and Bloom partner with local businesses, local schools, community groups, local churches and charities to support green space project delivery, seasonal bulb planting and creating summer floral displays, which I know that Liz Jones is going to touch on in more detail later this evening. A team of volunteer gardeners have continued to maintain the physic border in Priory Gardens, and they've done this once a week since it was first planted in 2013. The Town Council's recent 40th anniversary planting project engaged with over 100 school children ages 5 to 10 to plant 40,000 daffodil bulbs, and 35 volunteer participants aged 16 to 75 to plant 40 trees throughout Dunstable to celebrate 40 years of the Town Council. Every year since 2010, the council partnered with Dunstable in Bloom and up to 20 green space community projects involving over 150 volunteers to deliver Dunstable's In Bloom campaign. So there's different volunteering opportunities within the grounds and environmental services. Some of these would include Friends of Dunstable Cemetery, which is a group that run to support the cemetery to keep the graves looking nice. And they do things by tidying them up, keeping them looking well, and this is something that you could be involved in if you wanted to be. So for all of the things that I'm going to talk about this evening, if anyone's got an interest in the volunteering, I'll put an email address up, or you can come and talk to me at the end, and we can look at different things that you might like to get involved with. But also under the grounds and environmental services, we've got seasonal projects. So we've got things like bulb planting, seasonal tasks, tree planting, and green space projects. And then Friends of Priory House and Gardens also campaign, they fundraise, and they promote the space. So if you were interested in volunteering around grounds and environmental services, these are some opportunities of how you could get involved. And then there's lots of opportunities within the team that I run. So I am the Youth and Community Service Manager for the Town Council. And under me, we operate young people services, older people services, and a lot of community engagement. So an opportunity if you wanted to volunteer, and some of these positions are subject to references and DBSs, and it's really important I mention that. We've got opportunities at Grove Corner, which is our young people centre, and there's an opportunity to come and engage with young people, to play pool, to air hockey, to chat with young people and do different crafting activities. And Grove Corner is a safe space for young people to come and hang out. So we've got different tasks that people could get involved with if they wanted to volunteer. But as mentioned, these positions are subject to DBSs and references. And then we've also got a detached youth team. So our detached youth work is youth workers that go out and about to meet young people where they are. So the team will go to the local parks and to the green spaces. They'll go to the Dunstable Centre just across the road. And they'll meet young people where young people are, as opposed to young people coming to them. So they go out 3 nights a week from April. And again, there's opportunities to join this team. Other opportunities are with our older community. So we run a breakfast club every single week on a Tuesday, and this runs from Bennett's Splash Cafe and Community Hub. And we are looking for people to join that team on a weekly basis to support us with volunteering at this. And again, tasks would include chatting to those who come along, supporting with washing up, supporting with handing out breakfast, and just being a friendly face for those who come along to that project. We also run 2 weekly lunch clubs, and again, we have similar volunteering opportunities to our breakfast club. Monthly, we've got volunteering opportunities for our coffee and chat. Coffee and chat is an opportunity for those that are aged 55 plus to come along to different spaces within the town, to meet with officers, to meet with other people. And we get different agencies to come along to meet those that come to that coffee and chat, to provide them with vital information that can support them. For example, things like Age UK come along. We've had organisations come along to talk about scams. The local police and fire service have been out. So it's always really relevant for that community to be able to access. Again, these roles are subject to references and DBS checks. And then within the community, we've got lots of opportunities as well if people are looking for volunteering opportunities within the community. So we at the moment are looking to form a Friends of Bennett Memorial Recreation Ground. And that Friends group would consist of people that use that space, that want to contribute to different ideas and how that space could be used and how it could support community members. And we also run a litter pick scheme. So the team does a lot of litter picks in the local area. but we also offer a rent and borrow the litter picks for free. And it means that people can litter pick in their local area if they want to, but we support them by providing them the litter picks. We support them by providing them a risk assessment to ensure that it's safe. And we support them by organising for the bags of litter to be collected. So this could be in a local street, it could be in a local park or an area that people use. And so if this was something that people were interested in, again, I'd be happy to have the conversation. And then we run a lot of town-wide events as well. And again, there's different volunteering opportunities here to support at the town-wide events that the Town Council runs. Some of this could include litter picking and supporting after we ran some of our events. It could include marshalling and supporting at the events. So there's lots of different opportunities that the Town Council can provide if people want to get involved. The Town Council also works closely with community and voluntary organisations to support community and voluntary organisations. And as part of this, we provide service level agreements to some different organisations within the town, and some of them are here in the room with us this evening. So if you wanted to register your interest, if you were interested in either finding out more or something tonight has stirred something within you and you think, yeah, I'd like to volunteer, then please email communities@dunstable.gov.uk and it would be great to hear from you. That's all from me this evening, but thank you for listening.
Our next item on the agenda is briefing from the Community Voluntary Services. So we have the next up, we have a briefing from Martin of the Community Voluntary Service.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
Hello. Wow. Reminds me of like a 1980s TV, I have to say. It's a bit
Bit Atari.
press green for Howard's Way or something like that. So, okay, can I get a quick vote on hands? How many of you are currently a volunteer? So, okay, kind of preaching to the converted. And how many of you are involved in organisations looking to recruit volunteers? Okay, great. And how many of you are not volunteering? Excellent, multiple audiences. Okay, great. So I'll rattle through a couple of things, but it'll apply to both if you're looking to volunteer, if you are looking for volunteers, or if you're just currently volunteering, you want to maybe think differently. I think most people, myself included, we don't tend to restrict ourselves to one thing. We quite like to volunteer for 2 or 3 things. So I quite often help out marshalling events, and I also do some coaching for young people as well. So, and it's nice to be different, nice to have different things at different times. So I'm going to quickly rattle through what CVS, because we know that CVS does in a volunteering context. I mean, broadly, you're not going to read that from now, I suspect, but we are something between a trade union and a small business advice centre for the voluntary community sector. And by the voluntary community sector, I mean the 3,000 voluntary community, faith, community-based organisations across Bedfordshire. There's a lot of us. And so we act very much in a very practical way to support them with funding applications. We support a lot of communications, networking, but we also do our volunteering element, which is a combination of both acting as a broker and as a supporter, and that's what I'll talk about a little bit now. So we break it into 3 things, what we do at the minute, and again, don't have to read all of this, we've got it all up for you if you want to have a copy later, but primarily our volunteer centre is a brokerage service with a matchmaker for people who want to volunteer, trying to find them something that they want to do, something that interests them. We also do a lot of work with supporting organisations in promoting and making your opportunities more attractive and more appropriate for people. We spend a lot of time supporting people to just get the wording just right, make sure it's not sounds like a boring job, it is an exciting job. But we also spend a lot of time supporting organisations on best practice, how to manage your volunteers. A lot of organisations do really well at recruiting, but they also do really well at losing volunteers really quickly. And actually, sometimes half the challenge here is hanging on to your volunteers and keeping them for a number of years, investing in them, that kind of thing. And that's actually an art. It's not at all like managing staff, paid members of staff. It's completely different. And so it's important. So we act on those three things, but I'm going to focus mainly on the brokerage side of things for you today. And so, again, we have an online website, a directory, as it were, of opportunities. Today, I think it's at 297 live volunteering opportunities for people to look at. And there's some leaflets on our stall at the back, and that'll get you to the QR code, and you'll get to a website. But fundamentally, we have a live, rolling list of opportunities. If you search by postcode, you're going to find just over 100 organisations within a 2-mile radius that suggest they're offering opportunities in this area. But I think you want to dig into them. But the system is really useful because if you're interested in certain areas of work, certain whether it's communications or working with young people, or working with older people, or working with animals, then you're able to filter the system and see what comes up. And the system isn't just limited to voluntary organisations. We also have volunteering opportunities within the public sector as well. Actually, that's quite an important element. There's a huge number of opportunities with colleagues at town councils, parish councils, unitary authorities, hospitals, etc. So there's a huge range of potential opportunities for people. We've got some how-to videos, but typically a lot of our time we spend chatting to people, either face-to-face or over the phone or online to help people. A lot of people will just use our system and find an opportunity and off they'll go. That's great. They almost don't need to speak to us. They'll self-select. But actually, we spend a lot of our time talking to people who don't really know what to do with themselves, can't quite decide, may have some confidence issues, may have some issues with their past that they feel might be a barrier to their volunteering. So we support those old people as best we can to find them the most opportune volunteering opportunity. So I thought I'd just throw up a few local ones. So if you're the volunteer or you fancy a change, a bit of extra, because you're only working volunteering 5 days a week, you want to do a 6th. So there's a few up here. So these, again, we have copies of these on the board. So I'm going to flick through these. So our colleagues at Keach Hospice are looking for shop assistant volunteers in Dunstable. So they'll be delighted to hear from you if you want. Or you might fancy something a bit different, working with the Rough Sleeper Outreach team with Noah, and they're looking right across Central Bedfordshire for volunteers. That's definitely not shop work, I have to say. Or you might fancy going into the hospital and actually helping out in their charity hub as a volunteer. Or you might go with our colleagues who are here from Beds RCC helping out with some of their wellbeing sessions in Dunstable. So again, already we've moved across quite a few different topics. Or you may actually want to volunteer with Central Bedfordshire Council for Independent Appeal Panel members, which again, I think that one's actually mostly online. So there's some opportunities we have which you don't actually even need to venture out of the house for. So there's 5 very quickly there, but we actually have quite a large number. And we brought some of them with us, but there's a list online. So you get the idea, there's lots of opportunities for you to have a look, have a browse through, see what you think. So we've got a couple of other things we'd throw your way as well. So again, if you're both organisations or you're interested, we have a volunteer newsletter, goes out monthly. We tend to theme it, new stuff, weird things going on, various events, activities. And again, whether you're a volunteer or an organisation, we would be encouraging you to follow our social media posts and our feeds and our newsletters, stuff like that online. We do a lot of promotion of volunteering opportunities online. A lot of people send stuff our way. We also put a lot of stuff in various, well, frankly, any free advertising we can get or any free newsletters going out, we'll try and promote and theme activities. So, if you need volunteers, then it's kind of the other side, really. We need you to register your opportunities. We can't promote your opportunities unless you're registered on our Simply Connect system. And I'm going to ask Mark just to put his hand up. If you want to just have a chat with Mark about how to do that, feel free to pin him down later, and he'll have a chat about how we get you registered on the system. There's no charge to using the system. It's just about you getting those opportunities on the system and making sure you're out there for people who are looking to find you, so we can support you. We're also keen to hear from organisations if you think you can support corporate volunteering, and by that I mean if your organisation feels that it could take on a group of people from a company who are looking to volunteer for a couple of days, a couple of hours, and to carry out a specific task. We get a lot of opportunities, a lot of organisations coming and asking us, have we got something suitable? We hold a list already great to hear if you think you could cope with something like that. We can add you onto our list, so when people ring us up, we can say, well, here's your options, and away you go. So we do get someone out. We're very keen to hear about some corporate volunteering. And a couple of little things coming up as well. So one is Volunteers Week. So again, great opportunity if you're involved in running organisations to celebrate volunteering. Thanking is very much the big thing for Volunteers Week. It's a little bit of a recruitment thing, but it's actually mostly about thanking and rewarding your existing volunteers. So a lot of people are having picnics and lunches and celebrations and certificates and that kind of thing very much across Volunteers Week. It's a great opportunity. It's a national scheme, been going for over 40 years now. And so that's always very much the first week of June. So now's about time to start planning that if you want to make the most of Volunteers Week. And then at the end of June, we also have something called Small Charities Week, which is a little bit off the kind of strictly volunteering thing, but certainly we would encourage any organisations to look online and to look at the various opportunities. Volunteering plays a part of that, volunteer management plays a big part of that, about as small organisations accessing free training, support, just promoting the concept of small charities. That's quite a big week coming up. So there's two things in June, but Volunteers Week is definitely the big one, I would say. And then finally, just some contact details, but all our stuff's at the back for people to have a look at and go have a chat with myself or Mark, pick up our details, find out how to register opportunities, or if you've got another spare 3 hours of your life we want to fill, then great, let us know, we'll happily match you up. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Martin. Our fifth item of the agenda is briefing from Dunstable in Bloom. I now invite Liz Jones, the chair of Dunstable in Bloom, to talk to us about opportunities to support their campaign this year.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, thank you for inviting us along tonight to be part of the meeting. Dunstable in Bloom plays a huge part in a lot of our lives, and looking around the room, I think there's only a few of you that possibly haven't at some stage either attended one of our bulb planting sessions, been involved in Dunstable in Bloom, or certainly heard us speak about it. But just as a reminder, I'm going to take you through the journey of In Bloom. So we are part of a big Bloom family. At the top, we have our Britain in Bloom, which is the pinnacle of excellence. We then have Anglia in Bloom, one of 17 regional areas, of which Dunstable and sits in the Bedfordshire area, and we fall into the Anglia in Bloom category. And then at the grassroots level, where the real work happens and where the benefits are directly felt in our town, is Dunstable in Bloom. So our journey so far since 2010 has been 13 gold awards, 2 silver gilt awards, over 100 special awards and nominations for projects and green spaces within our community. In 2022, we were named Britain in Bloom's best large town in the UK. Most recently, last year, we were crowned overall winner in Anglia in Bloom. Those achievements reflect not just the beautiful planting, but great teamwork, creativity, and a shared sense of pride across our town. So, who are we? What do we do? We are a group of volunteers who all love the outdoors. Without a doubt, everybody loves the outdoors, gardening and giving back to our community. We work closely with Dunstable Town Council to support the town's annual entry into the Anglia in Bloom competition. Our volunteers do so much more, including tending the Physic Garden and Priory Gardens, deadheading and caring for the town's summer floral containers, supporting and organising our local competition, fundraising to reinvest into the community projects that we have going on across our town. In addition to the 40,000 bulbs that were planted last year by the Town Council, last year we also had another 30 to 40 people come out, residents, schools, councillors and community groups and some corporate businesses to help plant a further 8,000 crocus bulbs across the town and 2,000 daffodil bulbs, all sponsored by the Rotary Club of Dunstable. For the last 2 years we've gone out and we've sought sponsorship, which has helped us reinvest back into our town and into the local community and the local awards night that we hold each year. We also have active members of Dunstable and Bloom that sit on a committee that meet monthly. Every task, big or small, contributes to making Dunstable a greener, brighter and more connected place. We can match your availability of time with our activities. Sometimes it's impossible with your working patterns and our opportunities. Sometimes we don't match. But what we do have is we have a pool of other organisations and community groups that are also looking for volunteers, such as Incredible Edible, the Lowther Road Shops, the Dunstable Wombles. We can always direct you and signpost you and support you in gaining communication with those groups so time can be shared amongst those. So how can you help us? That's our favourite photo, I have to say. How can you help us? We welcome you, as we say. You can volunteer to be on our committee. You can help maintain some of the town's green spaces. You can start a new community project of your own with friends and neighbours. You can support our fundraising events. Whether you've got green fingers or are simply enthusiastic, your contribution makes a huge difference to our community. Tonight, I'm not going to be able to not speak about our local competition. It plays a huge part in the year that we run, and it's run by our volunteers, predominantly within our committee. This year's community competition is looking at the theme of community spirit. It's a friendly, inclusive opportunity for residents, businesses, schools and community groups to showcase their gardens, planters, hanging baskets and even decorated wheelbarrows. There's prizes to be won, but more importantly, it brings together and celebrates creativity within our community. As you can see, that we've been sponsored this year by the Rotary Club of Dunstable, and we are very grateful for their support. Our shields are awarded every year in our September's awards night, and we've grown that number of shields this year. There's a further 4 shields to be added to that photo in September. We look at allotments, care homes, commercial premises, community gardens, floral containers, sheltered housing, public houses, and for this year we've started a schools project, and some of the schools have already signed up and have received their gift vouchers to start their growing of their projects, which is fantastic to see. We've also reintroduced our photography competition, and we've just launched our spring competition only this week, and the judging for the winter competition is taking place as we speak. This is all great, and we're asking the community to be part of that. So everybody that votes, everybody that contributes by submitting a photo, that registers for our local competition, you'll all be part of it and you're all a volunteer. These are all of our sponsors this year, and we're eternally grateful to everybody that's come out and supported us. And each one of those businesses, whether they're Dunstable based or further afield, they've done it because they want to see Dunstable thrive, and as a community, that's what we will be doing. So, in closing, Dunstable and Bloom is more than about flowers. It's about the community, the well-being, the pride, and creating spaces that bring joy to everybody who lives, works, or visits. Every volunteer, every sponsor, every resident who plants a seed or waters a basket is part of that story. We'd love you to join us, whether by volunteering, entering the competition, or simply spreading the word. Together, we can keep Dunstable blooming beautifully.
Thank you. Our 6th agenda is questions from electors. The meeting is now open to electors of Dunstable to raise any matters relating to Dunstable. Does anyone have any questions?
We've got a microphone.
I'm sorry, I thought you this is my opinion. It's not. It's a general question.
So before you continue, could you say your name?
From my point of view, councillors' first priority, having been elected, is to serve their constituents. What I have seen over the past few months from some councillors is politics over part over the actual, in my opinion, is politics over the constituents. Sorry about that, yeah. Culminating in a good and seasoned councillor resigning and at a cost apparently of £20,000 to the residents of Dunstable. My question is, what interventions has the town clerk, CEO, to prevent these issues escalating, as it is a stain on the council as well as councillors?
I'll ask the town clerk. He's here, so he can answer for himself.
That question was directed at me. The first thing to say is that issues to do with town council misbehaviour formulae always have to be sent to the monitoring office at Central Bedfordshire Council. So the town council, for right or wrong, has no legal ability or power to deal with councillor behaviour. That role sits with Central Bedfordshire Council. Informally, as the council, we do everything we can to support members. We provide training, we have a code of conduct. Our members have gone the extra mile in signing up to what's called the Civility and Respect Pledge that now the National Association of Local Councils recommend, to make an additional commitment to be civil and respectful to one another, and to commit to taking part in the national campaign to introduce better support and stronger legislation around councillor behaviour. All of our current councillors have also signed up to an individual personal commitment to be civil and respectful in their behaviour. We've had support from a number of national organisations, and actually the way council meetings are run and what happens in the council chamber has always been really positive. So any issues that may have been around social media is a matter for individual members. That's something that the council has no actual control or power over. What people do with their individual accounts is down to them. And obviously freedom of speech is a really significant thing for us. So there is a balance between what's appropriate and freedom of speech, and obviously different members will have different views on that. Different people will have different views on what should or shouldn't be said. But we do provide, I think, comprehensive training and support in what is and isn't a good use of social media.
Thank you for that, Paul.
Another question, if anybody else.
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. The precept this year, as in previous years, is going to rise in the region of about 12%, I believe, based on Band D. How can this be justified? What is the council doing to reduce costs, looking at revenue streams to increase income? Because many residents are choosing between heating and eating in this cost of living crisis.
I'll partly answer that question. So obviously it's a matter for members to decide on what the precept is, and members, I'm sure, will be happy to talk about a very comprehensive process. We went through every committee, looked at its budget twice this year. Members worked really hard to get the budget down to where it is. The actual increase is 7.92% this year. It's not 12. When we initially budgeted, it was going to be 12, but members got it down to 7.92%. We've taken out one of the events this year, so we've taken out one of the pictures in the park at Priory Gardens. So members were keen to find reductions where they could do. We are facing cost increases, so national insurance rise. A number of our contractors have just had to put up their costs, particularly around staffing. Catering costs have gone up significantly over what you want them to be. So the 7.92, we've made savings where we can, but 7.92 just reflects the increased cost of carrying on delivering the same services, apart from the few cuts that we've made.
Thank you for that. Any other question? Yes.
Hi, my name is Panikos. One of the things I notice a lot when driving around Dunstable, the roads are full of potholes, and my suspension really feels it. Is there any plan to kind of address this? Because it seems constant, and it only seems to be getting worse.
I think that's something that we have tried to, we continue raising with CBC. Even before this meeting, some were talking about the potholes, and we don't know where their priorities are. Maybe this is a question that somebody from CBC can answer, a CBC officer. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I'm a Central Beds councillor as well as town councillor, and I'm also on the administration. So the answer to your question is, can we do anything about the potholes in Dunstable? Is the same question that's being asked all over Central Bedfordshire. Every year, the council gets money from the government, and it's around about 10 million. and it's been about the same every year. They also, the council, Central Beds Council, also put in another 10 million, which is raised through the council tax, which makes 20 million. But half this money is spent on what we call revenue budget, which is potholes, and the other 10 million is spent on capital projects, which is actually doing a major repair to the road, such as when Luton Road was repaired a couple of years ago. That was a capital project. So resurfacing or redressing, as they call it these days, where they fill in the potholes and then they just do a surface layer over the road. That's a capital project. So there are some capital projects coming in. Woodford Road, for example, that's going to be done. I've been trying to get that done for 3 years. But if there's a specific road that you think needs a complete redressing, then the best thing you can do is contact your ward CBC councillor and ask them to get involved with that, ask them for help. Reporting everything on Fix My Street is the best way to try and get potholes sorted out. If you report something on Fix My Street, please take a note of the reference number that's automatically generated, and then if it's not repaired or if there's no report about it within 4 weeks, I would suggest you contact your local ward councillor and give them the report number and ask them to chase it up for you. Okay. Does that help you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Any other question? I had a question about the volunteers. In terms of the hours, how many hours can somebody volunteer if they wanted to put themselves forward to volunteer? Do you have any specific hours? Or yes,
Me?
yeah.
Oh, it depends what people want to volunteer for. So, if, for example, it depends what people want to volunteer for. So, if, for example, it was in our youth club, then it would usually be an hour and a half to 2 hours per week, or it might be that someone says they want to do it fortnightly. If it was for our breakfast club or lunch club, it might be similar. But it very much depends, and we would work with the individual to kind of make that work for them, but also to work for us. So it really does depend on what you want to volunteer for, and I'm sure I can speak for colleagues in the room that have also done presentations, that again, it would kind of depend on what you want to volunteer for how many hours. So it's not a set number of hours. It very much depends on what you can offer and how we can work with you.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, I've just got one more question. Dunstable is littered with disused buildings and building sites, as in the old ambulance station, Magistrates Court, Old Library, Birding End Pub, Tilly's Butchers, which is, I believe, under the Heritage Action Zone. £150,000 is spent on that already. And last but not least, Birch Court, standing idle and empty. I know we have CBC councillors who should, I hope, bang in the drum to resolve these issues, but again I ask, is the town clerk, CEO, making representations to the respective counterparts at CBC? It is a blight on our town officers as well as councillors.
Thank you for that. I've seen the John Gani, CBC officer, wants to answer. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. Is it on? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Right. Thank you very much for your question there, Sid. So, there are lots of buildings now around the town. I'll try to answer the ones that you mentioned. So the ambulance station in the former Magistrates Court, that is in the process of being sold to a developer who has to, under the requirement of the purchase, has to build dwellings, which may be apartments, and also there's a requirement to build a care home there. So that's in the process of being, how can I say, sold or taken over. The problem is Central Beds Council, because the site's been designated for a care home as well as apartments, they have to find someone who wants to buy it on that basis. They can't sort of just sell it to someone and then say, oh, we want to build something else. So that is in the process of that. Birch Court. Birch Court is an insurance situation. Unfortunately, when it was purchased, because it was built by a developer and it was then sold to the council, the information that the council was given wasn't correct. The council then started to investigate the property and found out it hadn't been built to the standards that was required. So they've had to basically sue the company that did the building inspection, and that's taken quite a lot of time. When that is sorted out, they will then have to find a builder who will put everything right. All the new work that's involved in the Birch Court came along after the Grenfell Tower fire, which meant that Birch Court had to be built to new standards that weren't in place when it started to be built. So that's the problem with Birch Court. What other sites did you mention?
The old library.
Sorry?
The library.
Oh, the old library. Now, the old library, the plans have already been agreed a couple of years ago for that to be another block of flats up to, I think, 4 or 5 stories high. Dunstable has a limit to how high you can build. That will be partially for residents with learning difficulties or disabilities, and as well as other residents. So that's already been, the plans for that have already been approved. But again, we're waiting for the developer to start the work. The problem with these days is that developers buy areas, bits of land, but then it's very expensive to build. So they're trying to wait until obviously the prices come down, which they may not, but they have a 3-year limit to build that. And I think we're on about 18 months at the moment. So all the land, there isn't much land available around Dunstable at the moment because it's all mostly been built on already, as you know. But whatever there is, it will be responsible of Central Beds Council to find a developer to get something built on it, or to leave it as an open green space. Okay.
Thank you for that.
Oh, Tilly's, yes. Tilly's, as the gentleman mentioned, is under a heritage scheme. What they're trying to do, the owner doesn't want to sell it for a knockdown price. And he doesn't want to just give it away. And it is a historical building. So the council are trying to negotiate with the owner to accept a sensible offer. But my understanding is that the owner doesn't want to sell it, and therefore it's going to sit there and rot. You can't force someone to sell something. Unfortunately, it's not in the way of a motorway. Now, if we're going to build a motorway through there, then we could compulsorily purchase it, but it's not, so we can't. The town clerk might be able to give some more information there. But that was my understanding of the situation.
Yeah, if I just add a little bit to that, the joint committee where CBC members and town council members meet 4 times a year met last week and were updated that discussions are ongoing with Historic England regarding number 4 and options for it. So I wouldn't lose hope. I think that's all I should say.
Thank you. Did you want to add anything?
No, I think that's
Okay.
answered the question.
Hello, my My question is to the town voluntary service. With your volunteers, do you offer any kind of vocational training so that particularly the young people that are volunteering can go on to find sustainable employment?
Yeah, so we do offer safeguarding training to all of our volunteers if they are working with vulnerable people or young people. In terms of our volunteers, they are all over 18, and that's because we operate a young people service up until they're kind of 18 or 19, or 25 if they've got additional needs. And it wouldn't be appropriate to have somebody under 18 volunteering. However, and there is a however within this, we have had young people that are doing things like Duke of Edinburgh, and so we have taken them on to volunteer. And I've got some success stories there where one of them kind of volunteered with us many years ago and went on some training and is now one of our casual volunteers, young youth workers, a paid volunteer youth worker. So we have got different positions like that. We've got another young person that again did Duke of Edinburgh, has used that as a stepping stone, and we've then been able to support to provide a reference. So we have had a couple of young people that have done Duke of Edinburgh that have then been my exception. But just because of the nature of our work, we would usually take volunteers from 18 plus. That can be different in other organisations. It's just something that we do as part of our safer recruitment and due to the ages that we're working with. Did that answer it?
Just the 18 plus then, do they get sort of additional training?
Yeah.
Like MBQs or anything like that?
So unfortunately we can't provide things like MVQs for them. But we have, again, another example would be that we had a young person that was 18 that was at this college many years ago. And so they came, we didn't take them as a placement, but they needed a placement. But they came and they volunteered as a town council volunteer, but the college had agreed that they could use that as part of their hours. So we were able to support on that. And again, that's just down to capacity, that we're not able to take lots and lots of placements, and we need to make sure that we can really invest if we're working and we're taking volunteers on. And we want to give them the best opportunity. And as my colleague Martin in the room said, there's lots of organisations that people can volunteer at, so we would signpost where needed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions? None? I now declare the Dunstable Town Meeting 2026 closed, and thank you for your attendance. However, I think you have the agenda. Please take 2 minutes to complete our online survey using the QR code below. This one.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.